let's see, November 9th? Is that what we are?
Yeah.
November 9th,
Yes.
2023. I'll introduce myself as Rich West as board president, and then let's go around the room here and then we'll go to the screen.
Okay, Lynn Hobbs, board member.
Alex Garrett, assistant principal.
Jill Lowe, principal.
Okay, let's see. On our screen, we'll go Ryan and Frank.
Ryan Marchant, business manager.
Oh, I can't hear you, Ryan.
Frank Stewart, Logan City Board member.
Oh,
Ryan
hold on.
Marchant, business.
Sorry.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me
I
now?
tested audio before. No.
Can't hear me?
Ryan, talk to us.
They were talking.
Yeah, I'm talking. Can you not hear me?
Can you guys try now? Let's see.
Can you hear me now?
No, still.
Okay. Can the two of you hear us?
Yes, and I can hear Ryan.
Oh, hold on. Sorry. There we go. Can you try now, guys? Sorry.
Can you hear us now?
Yes.
Yes, good.
Okay, Ryan Marchant, business manager. We've got an echo, but that's okay.
Yeah.
And Frank?
Frank Stewart, Logan City School Board member.
And we are expecting at least one more board member, but we'll introduce her when she arrives, assuming she arrives. She's certainly going to arrive. Well, let's go to item number 1. Our FY24 financial report. Ryan Marchant.
Okay. So hopefully you all have the financial report in front of you. Of course, it's up on the screen here too that Alex has put up. This is for the first quarter of FY24, so July through September. Let me just, before we dive into this quarter, let me go back to last year and just kind of give you a preview of how we ended the year. We never did review a full financial statement, and I can send those out. We reviewed it up through May, but I don't think we ever did review one through June. So the trends were very good as when we reviewed it back in May, and that continued through June. So we had a very strong financial year last year. And of course, this always, I always preface this by saying, when I say strong, we're also, I'm just talking financials, and academics obviously carry their own report, and Jill and Alex do well with that. So, but the academics are strong too, to help, push our numbers overall higher. And I think Jill will talk a little bit about this in our principal's report, just kind of some of the cool things that we were able to do last year with the successes as far as the school goes. So we completed our audit, and that's done. I'm not sure we had any findings in our audit. That audit report will be coming out the end of this month, and we'll review that probably in our next board meeting. I don't anticipate there being anything there other than, just showing that we, just validating essentially what I'm telling you now is that we had a strong financial year, and we were able to get through our audit, and things went relatively well. So it's good. It's always good to have that behind us. We've uploaded all of our AFRs and our APRs to the state to be in compliance there. So we're done basically with last year's financial reporting, which is nice to have done. And now it's on to the next, which brings us kind of to this quarter, first quarter of our FY24 school year. I won't go and read all of this because you've seen it so many times and you've probably gone through it before, but just some highlights. Our revenues were above our budget by about $66,000. You can see there. The one thing that I do kind of want to bring out in our revenues, and I mentioned this here, is like the second to last bullet point there, is that our SPED funding is up significantly over previous years. This is due to increases in the number of SPED students that Fast Forward serves. So I anticipate just kind of looking at our P&L by class, which is attached to this. Um, it's the 1205, but right now we have a pretty significant net income in our 1205, our sped. So between Jill and I and Kathy, our sped director, we just kind of need to look at that and see where the heads are that we have hired, and maybe look at maybe some additional hiring, because our special ed funding is coming in a little bit hotter than kind of what we anticipated. Other than that, our funding has kind of caught up to where our student increases has gone up, and now that we've had a couple years there, it's kind of starting to kind of just hit that leveling off where we can operate with this without, just having a lot of. I don't think we'll have a lot of expenses. We'll have expenses going forward, of course, but I don't think we need to necessarily incur a lot more expenses as far as hiring and things like that. To kind of catch up to our student head count. I think that since we've been at this head count for a little bit, I think we'll be kind of where we are. It's just a matter of, raises at this point, keeping things running at the current head count that we're at. You can see our head counts, and we'll talk about that in just a minute when we get to the graphs. But our October head count was 456, and our current head counts, our current head count's 456. Our October 1 head count was 447. Total expenses for July were 703,000 versus a budget of 670. So consequently, our net income was 559,000 versus 525. We've spent approximately 20% of our approved $3.6 million budget. Our instructions for salary has gone up quite a bit compared to this last quarter last year. Same quarter of last year, our salaries have gone up significantly. And significant salary increases were given at the beginning of the FY24 school year. This was done primarily to bring parity with the local school districts. So we gave out significant increases, and then we gave out our raises before the Logan School District board got together and did their increases, and we found out that we were lagging behind them again. So we're trying to keep up with Logan, but they keep giving out so many raises over there, it's hard to keep up. CAPSA, we also have a CAPSA counselor, which is really good. That's been great, so we can have some additional counseling help. Okay, salaries and principals. Like I said, our salaries across the board are just kind of elevated compared to the same quarter last year, just like I said, because of the reason of just bringing more parity in line with some of the districts around us. Our mortgage balance, we have far more cash than we do mortgage. So, but when we're at a 4.5% interest rate fixed for the next, until 2040, I don't see, and maybe the board will probably concur, I don't see us any need to do anything there, unless we just have a huge desire to pay that off. If interest rates fall significantly, maybe that makes sense to get a 4% return on our money. Cash at the end of September was 2.5. Cash at the end of August was essentially 2.4, pretty close to 2.5. Payroll liabilities at the end of September were 122,768. That's kind of you can kind of go through the financial statement a little bit more if you'd like. Those are kind of the highlights there. Again, we're continuing those same strong trends that we saw from last year, which is really good. And we're operating in a good spot. So I know the board's aware of that. I just wanted to show it to you here on paper so that you're aware of kind of where we are, and we're making sure that we're disclosing these things to you as a board. Any questions on any of this? I see Frank's got his hand up.
Yes, Ryan and Jill, I just wanted to give a little feedback from the Logan City School Board, that you should be very proud of what you've been able to bring your salaries up to. As you know, we have been competing against Cache School District over losing teachers for the last 5-6 years. And so the last 3 years, especially, we've put a major effort into trying to get at least level, if not ahead. And we've been able to do so primarily through several different pots, but we just had an RDA come through for $1 million with Logan City. And we've put those kinds of things right back into salaries. So I think right now, Logan City is actually number 3 in the state for beginning teacher salaries.
Wow, that's really great.
So please feel good about where you are, because it's excellent and we consider you an excellent partner together.
Well, thanks for that, Frank. And Jill keeps a close eye on this because she's up there at the heartbeat of it too as well. And she sees what people are talking about. And so thanks for sharing that with us, Frank. We really have been trying to bring our people up, and we're fighting the same battle as everybody does. And that, it's whether it's Cash or Logan or us, we're all competing for the same somewhat limited supply of teachers and labor that's in the valley. And so and the people that benefit essentially are the teachers. And our teachers are very happy. And again, I can speak from my knowledge that I have, and when I meet with them, and Jill can probably tell you the same thing, they're happy with where they are, they're happy with what they do, and I think they're getting to be a lot more happy with what they're being paid to do. And so yeah,
Can I touch on that for a minute, Ryan?
yeah.
So Frank, I appreciate that point you made. We've really focused on teacher retention, and I mean, we lose teachers, good teachers, and we really tried to make it, a good place for them to work on multiple levels. But
Sure.
as you know, it's important, like financially, it's as important as anything. So I love what Logan is doing. So it's been good for us to match that. So
yeah, we're proud to work closely with you and support you. So
yeah, we appreciate Logan too. Okay, going on to the cash balances, and then just the next page down, Alex, if you want to just pop down to that, you can see our growth in cash balances over the last 6 months. And that's just kind of indicative in our net income that you can see there as well. Our October 1 count, you can see over the last essentially 4 years and kind of where we've come, and kind of where we're leveling off, which is really good. So our October 1 count was 447, and now we're currently at 456. I don't think we'll move much off that number. Do you guys anticipate moving much more from there, Alex or Jill?
yeah, we definitely have a big waiting list, but I think that's kind of where we figured we have some room in our late afternoon session for students, but probably not, huge change.
Well, and maybe portable. We're going to talk about our portable project that we're doing here in just a minute, but maybe there's also something there. And we'll have some other construction coming up, the portables, and then we've been talking about some other things too. But I think today we'll just kind of stick with the portables. You can also see our budget, our $3.6 million budget, and we've spent about 20% of that, $703,000. So those are just some highlights, kind of where we are. The rest of behind there is just the data behind it, the balance sheet and the income statement. You can kind of go through those yourself and see if you have any questions. But we just kind of do like it's always been, balance sheet first, and then profit and loss, and then behind that is just some P&L by class. So again, you can kind of see where our incomes have come in versus where our budget was, and kind of some of the variances. And some of the specifics, we pick up some of we haven't done a lot of capitals. Last year we did the roof. This year we're doing some portables. We're just starting on that. We just wrote the RFP for that, and now we've selected the final contractor there, and we'll speak about that in just a moment. But we've also picked up a lot of Apple computers through our CTE funding, and then it's just kind of given out some pretty good wage increases that we alluded to earlier. So any questions on the financial report from the board?
No, I just think it's great that we can increase teachers' pay. That's such a key element, I think, to, like you said, for retaining. It's a lot better to retain teachers and get new ones. And Frank,
Start over.
you will. Yeah.
That's wonderful. Ryan, everything you said is quite positive.
Mhm.
And thank you very much for not only giving us good news, but having good news to report. I mean, it's not just talking about it, it's actually good news. Is there anything that we ought to be concerned about, that's a little bit under the surface, that maybe would be a problem in that we ought to be attending to, even though it's not an issue now?
Yeah,
Any,
those are always, yeah. I guess I appreciate your question, Rich, and you're really good at asking that question often, which is good because uh, I guess the one you have to be worried about is the one that you don't know of, which maybe is where I am, to be completely candid with you. There probably are, maybe there probably is something out there that I can't think of anything big that's lurking. To first answer your question, I can't think of anything that's out there that's is a big gotcha or something that we couldn't overcome. But
nothing like,
I think at this point, it's just kind of managing now, going forward. Uh, making sure that we're in compliance with our policies and procedures, and Alex is going to review one of those, like we've talked about in some of our board meetings, which I think is good. So, making sure that we're in compliance legally and that there's nothing that's hanging out there as far as lawsuits, and there's nothing that I'm aware of that's coming up. And the school's actually done really well with not having any legal liabilities and really managing itself very well that way. We've had issues come up with staff occasionally, but I think for the most part that is handled pretty well. And even when people leave, sometimes they're disgruntled, but I think for the most part we're able to overcome those challenges, and a lot of that speaks to the culture that's there. That's fast forward. People want to stay and people want to work there, and um, I would say, and I think I've alluded to this in the past, one area that I think that a lot of people are going to get caught short-sighted is in their long-term interest rates on their debt. And we're tied in for a 30-year mortgage until 2040. We don't ever have to change our mortgage from here on out if we don't ever want to. There's not a floating rate. There's nothing. We could just pay it as it is and just finish off paying off our building over the next 20 years or whatever it is. So
when we
don't.
made that decision, and it looking back on it, it was the right decision, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I think that there were some options there that we had, that we could have gone with a shorter term floating rate that would have been, maybe 150 basis points less. But we ended up going with a little bit higher rate, but we went with the security of knowing that it was fixed for the next 30 years. And I think the board was very wise there to be a little more cautious and a little more prudent as to how we viewed our debt. And I think at this point, that's really paying off. And so that's great. So those are some areas that I think that we've kind of forethought about. And I think maybe for next meeting, I could definitely take a little deeper look into this. I know one area that we are looking at right now that I'm trying to do is we do actually qualify for the employee retention credit. So there could actually be some additional funds coming through that I'm working through that right now, which could be really, helpful to us to help even pay for a lot of these portables and stuff. So there's some things coming up. The legislature's been very kind to us over the last several years with increases in the WPU, and us having a lot of our costs are fixed, at least our facility. Of course our wages aren't, but I guess I've talked quite a bit, and I'm not sure I've even answered your question, Rich. And maybe you're not satisfied with that. I wish I could. I guess I need to think a little bit deeper about it and really think about where are some pitfalls that we could have. But I'm just kind of thinking, where other charter schools really have problems, and it could either be legal and financial with headcounts, and I just don't see any of that within the next 6 to 12 months. But I could be completely wrong too. I mean, things do come up.
Listen, I'm not eager to have you manufacture a problem. It's perfectly.
Well, that's your job, and it's something that we actually need to think probably more deeply about, as far as some pitfalls and some areas that could potentially come up. But as of right now, I think that we're in pretty good shape. Of course, knock on wood, as they say.
Well, Thank you very much. Not, as I say, not just in the report, but for managing all of this so that we have such a favorable report. This is the biggest concern the board has, and of course, you've taken the pressure off us, so thanks very much.
Well, thank you. And I, of course, I'm the one that just kind of manages it on the QuickBooks side and stuff. But you know, I always try to pass on the thanks to what Jill and Alex and the team up there are doing. They're doing phenomenal things and they're innovators. That's the thing that I think that I guess that's one thing that's really deleveraged our risk as well, is just that Fast Forward's ability to innovate. And that has paid off in spades. And that's where now a lot of other charter schools, you know this as well as anybody, Rich, and on the board, that when you don't innovate and when you just, I think we were kind of in the status quo, which was good, and we were doing what we needed to do and we were doing it well. But I think when Jill kind of came in and put a fresh eye on things and had some good ideas, to be able to innovate and grow out of some of these problems that I think we were facing and could have potentially faced, has been huge. So, you know, a lot of credit to them for just being willing to think outside the box a little bit. And I think COVID kind of helped a little bit because you really did have to go and think outside the box. But I think that's been very helpful, and clearly it's been helpful if you can see it in the financial statements.
Well done, thank you. Any other questions? All right, Ryan, way to go. Thanks
Thank you.
again. Let's move on then to policy and procedures review. I believe that's Alex.
So yeah, so this one's pretty quick. So one of the big pushes coming from the state recently has been data protection, data security, and with that, student privacy. So those two kind of go hand in hand. I was just at a 2-day data privacy, student privacy conference where we went through our data governance plan, as well as talked about different. We did a whole bunch of what's the word, where they give you scenarios and you have to brainstorm and like talk about how your school would deal with a data breach, or somebody coming in and trapping your servers, like holding your data hostage on your servers and things like that. And it's kind of wild that that's where we are. And luckily for us, we are very small. And so the people who are doing this are targeting bigger school districts, bigger charters. But you never know what could happen. And just like every other school in the state, we do have to have these protocols in place. So this document just outlines what we do, who's in charge of what, and there's a whole bunch of other policies and procedures that piggyback off of this. We do 2 different audits every year where they come in and, it's all done virtually, but they come and ask us about our internet protocols, things we're doing to keep our data safe on the internet, as well as like the physical, just on campus, things like that. And so part of that, I'm going through it right now, is this policy. We adopted it back in 2020, so it's been a minute, and it hasn't received big revisions from the state, but this is the state's model adopted for us. So we are in compliance and everything. This is like the a more detailed table of contents, and there's a whole bunch of things that go behind this. And so this isn't all of our procedures. It would be really not great if everything fit on 3 pages for protecting our data. But this is the brief overview of what the policy. So if you have time, look it over. If you have any questions, like I said, we are in a very good place here. Like, we use Google services, and they house most of our servers. We have one server here that has old data from we more or less switched off it when Jill came and started, but there is some student records that we still maintain on those servers here, but most everything is stored offsite with Google. And so
what's the biggest risk?
Well, the it sounds very silly, but it is very real, and it's passwords. And a lot of schools don't enforce like different password protocols. Like you should have, it shouldn't be a simple password. Like it should be complex, not really words, series of letters and numbers. And truthfully, every school is going to have to move to a two-factor authentication here pretty soon. With some of the new computers that I've gotten for staff, like it's already in place. And as we update teachers' computers, like those protocols just fall into place. And so, but truthfully, it is like just creating an unsafe password and then and not changing it and sticking to. So our current policy is every 180 days you get a new it prompts you to reset your password. Yeah, so beginning of the school year, usually after we come back from Christmas break, you get another prompt for it. So that's the biggest one. That's the emails, cracking email passwords and getting into email. We get those occasionally where it's just phishing. We get a lot of phishing emails, but our teachers have been trained to be like, hey, this isn't Jill or Ryan Marchant asking for gift cards. Can we get this blocked? And so it is.
But it's so plausible.
It is.
Makes total sense.
And we've had a couple of staff be like, yeah, what do you need me to do? And then they like sit there and think about it and they're like, wait. So nothing's ever been bought or done or anything like that. But there has been some like dialogue. So, but yeah, so ongoing training, we do training at the beginning of every year, like those protocols, and then just keeping everybody up to date with it. So
Well,
that's really it.
one of the issues in today's world, isn't it?
It is. It is. It definitely is. So
All right, we're in compliance, so we don't need to do anything here.
no, it was just a review. Just wanted to bring the board different policies. So Ryan, a couple board, I don't know, it might have even been a year ago. He wanted to start doing some policy reviews just so the board was aware of different policies that we have and you're aware of them.
Since we're talking about policy and procedures review, it seems to me that we had a discussion in a previous board meeting about the conflict of interest policy, and they were going to sign something at the beginning of the year.
For board members, right?
Board members. And that was going to give us a higher score on
that.
Like the risk
something.
assessment.
Yeah. And Teresa's joined us with Zoom. So
Great.
Yeah, that was for our annual, we have to fill out an annual risk assessment with the state. And that was going to give us a higher score. So we can, I mean, we don't have to upload that until the spring, but
Get it done before then.
I can't remember what the action item was on it. And I don't remember, maybe it was assigned to me to put together a conflict of interest state, which I have. I think we just signed one at East Hollywood. So maybe I can take that same one and convert it and we can sign it here.
Okay,
All
good
right.
enough.
Alex, will you put that on our agenda for our next board meeting and then just give us a reminder of that maybe a couple days before so we can draw it up?
yep, no problem.
It just seemed to me
Thank you,
that
Alex.
we were all going to sign at the beginning of the school year.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right.
just a conflict of interest statement. Yep.
Okay,
The
Hi,
other thing,
Teresa.
welcome, Teresa.
I am
Can you-
so sorry.
yeah.
We're glad to have you. Would you introduce yourself for the record?
Yes, I am Teresa Olson. I'm a board member.
Thank you very much, and we're glad you're here.
Thank you.
Okay, we are on item number 3, the school portables update.
We've got to get that audit committee meeting, Ryan. Maybe
Yeah, we do
you-
actually.
I
Yeah.
don't know if we could just
I'm
even-
gonna put a reminder in my calendar here. When's our next board meeting? Do we know yet? I guess we don't even know.
It'll be after the first of the year.
Yeah.
Can you meet? I guess you can meet 30 minutes before though. I'm assuming we've talked about this
Yeah.
before. That's good for you. Okay, I'll put that on my calendar in 30 minutes
just
before. I'll
kind of-
send you out a reminder the day before.
All right.
I'll send you I'll just send you a Zoom or a Google link, something
Okay.
like that, where you can meet virtually.
All right.
Great, I appreciate that. Okay, now school portables update.
Ryan, do you want to talk about the
Uh,
portable?
sure. Yeah, I can start and then. So to accommodate some of our growing needs with our growing enrollment, we've decided to pick up 3 portables actually that are going to be built for us. And we wrote an RFP for that. We got 3 submissions. The group that we ended up going with that was the lowest on their fees actually was there in Cache Valley. And they've done a lot of portables for the surrounding districts. They're very familiar with this, and so it's not it's not anything that's new to them. We're
DWA construction.
DWA Construction, yeah. Maybe you're aware of them, but they're a good group, and they're right now we're just touring some portables to get some finalized ideas. They have kind of like, it's like anything, you can do it as custom as you want, or you can take kind of what they've already built and they have plans for them and everything ready to roll, and you just kind of make a few modifications to that, to what your needs are, and you just kind of roll. And that's what we're going to do to kind of, you know, combat higher costs if we kind of can just build something that's already been built before. So we got to do some site work out there where we're going to be putting in the portables. They're going to be going in right there on the west side of the building that we have. We have some space there, and you guys know enough about education that you know about portables, and these are actually pretty nice from what we understand. And as they're going through tours, they're kind of seeing that as well. So that's going to accommodate some of our growth. We're excited about that. We're thinking it's probably going to be in the tune of about $700,000 for those. If we ever decide, and I probably won't, but that's something that you could actually sell if you wanted to. I know districts have sold theirs, and so it's actually an asset that you can turn around and move off your lot if you needed to, and sell it. So it does have some value. But the value to us essentially is the accommodation of more students, and I think it's a proper and good use of some of the cash that we have around to be able to provide some of this. So, the building is sufficient that we're in right now, and it's a great facility. We just need a little more space, and as we just kind of looked at things, we kind of decided that these portables would be probably the best way and most economically viable way to expand and provide good, reliable space that would have a lasting life on it. And, like I said, I think anybody that's been in schools before is pretty familiar with portables and what they do and how to utilize them and how versatile they can be. So, Jill, what do you have to add to that?
So currently, we saw the need for portables. We have a couple of teachers that float, and they use classrooms of other teachers on prep. And so that's hard for teachers to float. And so in order to, help those teachers out and keep class sizes small, this is kind of what we're thinking is going to be the best way to meet those needs, is giving, having 3 additional classrooms for those teachers that are floating. Currently we have, for our math classroom and our English classroom, we have co-teaching going on. So there are multiple teachers in one room. And that is to help with our special education, students being fully included in our general ed classrooms. So right now in our math room right here, we've got 2 math teachers and then a special ed math teacher. And then over here, we've got 2 English teachers. One of them, I guess they're both special ed English teachers, but we anticipate being able to move 3 classrooms out there, 3 teachers out there, and kind of reduce some of the moving for our teachers having to not have their own space and around for each prep period. So we'll move a math teacher out there, we'll move PE out there, And then probably science or English classroom out there.
So I was thinking that these would be just basic classrooms, but if you're moving PE and science, they're likely to be outfitted a little differently than just a.
Right. So let me speak to that for just a minute. So we, our bigger plan is to do, an addition on the back of the school, a larger gym space for our students to be able to use, and get kind of a better health and physical education and weights. So PE would just kind of be a landing point, because at the beginning of every class period, we teach, well, not every class period, but our second hour class periods, they teach literacy. And there's a lot of writing involved and the kids are doing projects. So it's a lot more than just, for PE, a lot more than just gym,
And they teach our health
exercise.
class.
Yeah, they teach health classes and whatnot. So, our PE/health classes will be in a portable temporarily while Ryan and I work on the larger gym that we're looking at doing, and then that classroom, health and PE, will be moved out to that classroom. So yeah, but yeah, there'll be a little bit of, I think they'll be pretty basic, but there'll be a little bit of, a little bit, different things going, depending on what teachers decide to move out there.
What's the lifespan of a typical portable?
Yeah. From the research that I did on it, you're looking at, you could get 20 to 30 years out of one. I mean, they build them just like they would any other house construction or something like that. But there's going to be some maintenance to it, like anything. Your HVAC is probably going to need to be replaced in there. It has its own portable unit. So those are some of the questions that I asked. We met with the contractor was, the structure, the overall structure is good and durable. It's made out of good, strong materials, but some of these items that just go out in your house or some things you're going to need to replace. They're pretty basic. So, but as far as the HVAC in there, it's pretty easy to get in there and to fix it, or to replace it if you need to. It's hooked up to, basic utility. The electricity's right there. That's not going to cost us very much to run it out there because it's right there on the street where we're going in. So we're not going to have to move a lot of electric line to get to it. But yeah, the life on that should be, you should easily get 20 to 25 years out of it.
Myself, but my portable at Lincoln Elementary from third grade is still going strong. And they told me that they had made a few upgrades, but it's still being used.
Well, I was just going to say that any of us who've been involved in education
Yeah.
for a few years, we used to think portable meant temporary, but
it doesn't.
portable doesn't mean temporary. Think
Portable
Mount Logan.
movie.
Think Mount Logan Middle School.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They said that every school in the valley has a portable that they still have had.
The one thing I'd ask, Brian, the outside wall is gonna be 2x4 or 2x6s. I just feel like a 2x6, the insulation you get because they're kind of standing out alone is. That's just
Right,
one-
right. Yeah, we'll bring that up. That's actually a good question that we haven't asked, but let me make a note of that to see if we can get a little bit better than a 2x4, 2x6. I don't think it would add significant, and maybe it will. I mean, of course, depending on what the price of lumber is doing, but we can always certainly find that out. And it's probably worth the investment. It's probably worth the investment, maybe what you'd make up in just operation heating costs and cooling costs. I mean, it's probably the cooling more than anything, but we'll ask that question.
I was just going to say, whatever you spend, if you have to spend more upfront, you'll save it in operating costs.
Yeah, and they did go into a little bit of insulation and kind of what they do, and they meet them to meet the R requirements that you typically would for a building. So, but we'll delve into that a little bit harder in our next conversation with them.
And I'm not exactly sure how they're going to be configured relative to the school, but access from the school out to the portable units during the winter season, which
Yeah.
can be long here. I imagine we've anticipated how we handle that.
Yep.
Yep.
So you'll be able to get access straight down the hall to the west. That's where they're gonna be, where that big retention pond is. They're gonna redirect that and build it right there. So it'll be pretty close to the school. Yeah, right. Oh, Alex has got it.
You have to.
Part of our security operation.
It is,
Right.
yeah. Behind the lines, yeah.
So that big area right there is where they're gonna put it, and there's electrical right there by that door, so
Yeah.
will save us a lot of money that way, but.
So are these going to be 2-story units? Because you could walk out right into the second floor. If I'm being
Yeah, you could. No, it's just gonna all be main level.
Okay,
So,
wonderful. Well, we should talk about how we appoint and decorate venues so that, we want them to be attractive. too, don't we?
inviting, oh, yeah, we
Okay.
talked about that, so,
Well done, folks.
thank you.
Well, how about a principal's report?
Okay. So I'm gonna start with just some things going on this year. So Ryan and I decided last year that we wanted to hire a full-time social worker to our program. We have gotten funds from CAPS that has helped pay for a social worker. The past, what, 3 or 4 years, Ryan? And we had a grant with CAPSA for that. Our grant dried up. But Ryan, we decided we didn't want to lose that. So we've got a full-time social worker pay coming out of our fast forward budget. That's been it's just been definitely a necessity.
She's
Here at the
busy.
school, yeah. So I just wanted to share with you, there's that we have carved out of our budget to make sure we have for our kids. As we know, the mental health needs of our students are pretty high. So, she's been a great addition. She's new this year. Her name's Rebecca Martinez. Great. She says she knows
Yes.
our board president here, so,
Yes.
Yeah.
We have a connection through another
yeah.
board I sit on.
Yeah, that's what she said. So she's a great lady, speaks Spanish. She's been a wonderful addition to our school, so. Anyway, we also have our Thanksgiving food drive coming up, and that's where Teresa probably remembers this from Brian and Joanne's days here, but our students go out in the community and gather food for the food pantry here in town. And it's a competition between classes. The kids have a good time. At the end, the winning classes that gather the most food go out to eat at Angie's. It's kind of a big deal. So
wow.
it's fun. Yeah. Anyway, so we're getting ready to get started with that here next week. And that'll run through right before Thanksgiving. So it's kind of a fun time of year at the school. I wanted to talk about accreditation for just a minute. We are in the middle of accreditation with Cognia, and it's been a wild ride, but it's been good. It's been informative. It's been good for us to do as a team and a school. A lot of reflective, thinking and practices. And I just wanted to share a few highlights. So we have until February 1st to get all of our evidence for accreditation into Cognia. And then, but they came and did a school site visit a couple weeks ago, and it was awesome. So, Selena came and was the representative from Cognia, and she met with, Rich. She wanted to meet with the board members. She wanted to meet with teachers, students, parents, and then our admin team. Some takeaways, and I'll ask Alex to help if I forget anything. Some takeaways from that. We got some good feedback. She was very, very impressed with our literacy program that every student does in the school, that every teacher teaches. It's all driven by the teachers. So the teachers put together the passages, the vocabulary words. So it's based on their own curriculum that they're using for that week, whatever the students will be learning that week in class. She gave us a huge review and applause for that because it was so, she had never seen anything like it. She was very impressed with that. And I wanted to take a minute, and Rich helped us put our literacy program together and has helped us kind of fine tune it over the years. But she was very impressed, and she says I have never given any school what did she
It's
call
a
it?
noteworthy.
Noteworthy practice.
Yes. Like she really wanted us to highlight it in our narratives because she's like, I've never given this feedback to any school. Like it must include type of
Yes,
deal.
and she said it's a noteworthy practice. And yeah, I've never given it in any school I've ever been to see. So it was pretty cool. It was a good. It was some great feedback. She also applauded our schedule. She felt like it was very innovative and met the needs of our kids. And kind of like we talked about with COVID, changes earlier. She said she wished that more schools had done some, changes, overhauls, whatever. So she applauded our schedule and our students. And I think this will kind of lead into Teresa's concern that she shared in our email. Our students, she met with about 8 or 9 students. And then she met with our faculty, and she cried while she was meeting with the faculty and said, your students love you. They know that you love them and care about them, and had awesome feedback.
Before you go any further, an auditor who cries.
I know.
She's quite nice.
There's something.
Yeah.
Contradictory.
Teachers telling just speaks loudly.
I usually only cry when they don't find something, but
No, she was very impressed with our program here and brought a tear to her eye. So
Wow.
anyway, it was a pretty good meeting. So I just wanted to take a minute and highlight those things from our accreditation.
The only other thing that she mentioned, well, she mentioned a couple others, but I think one of the big takeaways was we had to do like a self-eval where we went through and marked ourselves as
how we thought we were
between the 1 and a 4, right? And so we had marked ourselves a 3 on collaboration as like a team. We felt like, yeah, we can provide sufficient evidence for a 3. And in her exit meeting, she was like, if you guys aren't a 4, then I don't know what school is, because we talked about our PLCs, how all of our PLCs are interdepartments. So like no teacher is working with like the English isn't grouped together between our Friday collaborations. And she's just like, you guys collaborate more than anywhere else. And so I thought that was a really cool highlight too, is we get together, it seems sometimes it doesn't seem like it's enough, but every week we're getting together as a faculty and collaborating, and and so that was another cool thing too. She really liked that our teachers were very involved with each other, which was awesome.
And part of our decision making processes. She says it's definitely not like a top-down approach. They're part of the decision making. So it was great feedback.
It was.
So
really
I want to figure out how I can get on other boards where the entire meeting is nothing but good news.
Well, yeah. No, it was good feedback, So she said an area we needed to improve on was being more, she said we were accommodating and providing teachers leadership opportunities, but we needed to look for more areas that we could provide those kind of upfront.
Seek it out rather than let them seek it out.
Yes.
We seek them out type deal.
So that was a feedback. It was a growth area that we needed to focus on. So.
And she had reviewed our previous accreditation before coming to us. And that was part of the opening meeting, was asking us how we were doing in each of these areas. And we are doing all the things we needed to from that last accreditation work on.
Yeah, she was pretty impressed with that, because
That
no
was good
schools,
too.
it's like schools from year to year stay the same. and they never get better.
Yeah.
And she's like, you guys are working on what you needed to, and it shows.
Yeah,
So
that's a conversation I had with her. She said, is this really true? She said, I'm not familiar with schools that actually are intentional about responding to conditions in previous evaluations and audits, but this school actually pays attention to that. And
That's
she
pretty
said,
awesome.
that's sort of unusual. Now, that's a compliment to the
It
school,
is,
yeah.
but it is a real criticism of the field, it seems to me.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that we stand out because we're doing what we're supposed to do is,
Kind of sad.
it is.
Well, she says that
Yeah.
we have every 2 weeks we sit down and meet with her, and she'll give us tasks to do in between the 2 weeks. And she's like, "Oh, you guys did what you were supposed to." Like it's like a shock to her that because she's like, some schools aren't always
They're not
completing the
doing
things
anything.
as they need to. So again, we've had really good positive experiences, and this accreditation has been a lot more involved
Yeah.
than the previous two. Like the kind of the end goal is all the same, but the how we get there. Like we've written, I think, as many essays I wrote in my master's degree and in the last like little bit.
2
And so
months.
we have 3 more to write. So they're called narratives. They're
So
pretty good.
So part of the process that we've done is we've gotten our team together during professional
Yes.
development time and on our Friday morning meetings, and we split into groups, and we've got, questions to answer, reflective questions about teaching and how do you know kids are learning, how can we show that, and really the teachers have done a lot of the work, putting those pieces together, which I think has been awesome because it shouldn't all be on our admin team, but they are great in this process. So it's been interesting. It's been very, very thought provoking. So
And it's been really positive from the teachers. They're like, wow, that meeting was like really powerful. Like, yeah, we're working through data and trying to collect evidence and making them think about their own teaching and stuff, but it's all been very purposeful, which has been awesome.
something else I wanted to highlight real quick is part of our teacher retention. We have new educators, new to the profession, coming in from different schools. We have a handful every year, it seems, and we hired Teresa knows Coley and Ryan knows Coley. We took one of our teachers that has a great personality to mentor our new teachers and give them, critical feedback on their teaching and help them through the licensing process. So we have built our own Apple program. So the state, a handful of years ago said that schools could hire teachers that aren't trained as teachers if they provide what's called an Apple program, and it's the training and the hand-holding necessary for non-traditional teachers to become licensed. And so we put our Apple program together and got it in place, and it's been hugely successful. It's been so helpful for our teachers, and for the last probably 5 or 6 years we've had mentors for our new teachers that have been very much needed, because sometimes it's hard to talk to your boss about things you're struggling with or areas that you need help with. So it's been a very good addition to our program here. So she Cogni also talked about that when she came in was that little piece. So
And I think it was a piece from our last
that
accreditation. That was one
something
of the
we
things
needed
we
to
were
fix from our
improving.
last accreditation was teacher retention. So
Yeah.
anyway, so there's that update. I wanted to talk a little bit. Alex, do you want to put?
Yep.
So Teresa, some of your concerns about our growth, and are we still, able to meet students' needs? Are we still able to provide kind of what we've always been known to provide, and our mission, right? Are we still meeting our mission statement? I've got some thoughts maybe where it comes from, but if when I'm done, if you'll share with us, like if you have a specific concern, maybe we're missing. But Alex and I put together some numbers for you that compared kind of pre-COVID when your grandchildren were here to now. Class sizes, teacher numbers, and I actually am really proud to say that class sizes are smaller than they ever have been. And we do have an additional counselor to help with. If you guys will remember, our counselor, Karen Christiansen, that was with us for a lot of years, she took a job in Box Elder District to be closer to home and some other personal reasons. But before she left, we hired an additional counselor who was Sarah Anderson, and she ran our student center for a lot of years to help with our increased enrollment. So what we've seen, especially coming out of COVID, was just this huge influx of students needing a different environment, needing something different in their education that they're not getting at other schools. And that's kind of where our schedule change came from, is like we had a waiting list of hundreds of kids to get in here, and knowing dang well we could never meet those needs in a school year before they were out of the school system, which is kind of the reason that prompted our schedule change during, well, COVID prompted our schedule change, but then, post-COVID, was just this big influx of students that needed help. They needed an alternative program, and it's good and bad, I guess, that we have the need, right? We just have a big number of students coming from traditional high schools that it's not working for them. And I think something that speaks pretty loudly of our program is our own educators in the building bringing their family members here. I brought my 2 students here. I know Rich had a granddaughter here. We have Ryan, one of our teachers in the building. He had both of his daughters come here. And they're gone on to be successful in a university setting. I know Teresa's granddaughter went on to, she's in went into cosmetology, and anyway, so I think that's definitely where the need arose from, is the, kids needing a different environment. And I think we're all in this business because we love our kids, we love students, and we see the need. And it's pretty heartbreaking when I get a call a couple times a week from different high schools that their need, students' needs are not being met in the big schools. And do we have any room for one more? Do we have room for 2 more? Do we have room for these siblings that need something? And so, a couple of years ago, we couldn't. It was like, no, this is all we can take, and we can't take any additional students. And so COVID was a struggle, but it did some good things for education. And I think it kind of forced us to look at how we're doing things differently and how we can meet our students' needs. So I guess, Teresa, if we kind of look at our numbers, our school is definitely different from Brian and Joanne's days. I think in good ways. Were we the same school? No, but I think we offer that same in your email, you kind of said the small town feel. We really, sorry. Did you want to say something, Teresa?
No, I was agreeing with you. Yes.
Okay.
You're right.
So what was really important to our faculty is, if we made a schedule change and brought in more students to help meet their needs, that, we wanted to stay true to our mission. We wanted to stay true to kind of what makes us very unique. And Rich and Lynn know this. They've been with alternative ed for lots of years. And I think we can all agree that that's one of the reasons our school is successful, is the small environments. We know every kid's story. We have an amazing faculty that love these kids. And Teresa, in your email, said, walking in the school at any time, and everyone already knew what was going on in a certain situation. I don't think that's changed. We have 2 counselors now. The counselors have less kids to work with than they did pre-COVID. So when we just had 1 counselor, it was 1 counselor and 250 kids. Now, if you look, Alex, we've got, each counselor has less than 200 kids. And our student, if you look at our class sizes, they're in some of the classes quite a bit less than they were pre-COVID, which is good. And our teacher load, we've added 2 teachers. We've added a few special educators and a counselor. We've added some really good support in the classroom, our paraprofessionals, which has been very, very helpful. So right now our paraprofessionals are in all of the core content area classrooms with the teacher. And that's sometimes in addition to a co-teacher if it's a special ed teacher involved. But something I really want to highlight that is very awesome is our parent family outreach. So we, after, during COVID, we realized like we can't have masses coming into the school. And so it kind of forced us to rethink, how can we help these kids that are homebound or, don't have transportation? So we've got 2 parent family outreach people that do home visits, that are tutoring kids, that are part of our online program for students that don't come in person or are working, or like we have a young man who babysits his siblings during the day and can't make it very often. We've got two professionals that go to homes, are doing home visits, helping them with homework, testing, that kind of a thing, which is pretty awesome. I'm pretty proud of like our services that we provide. In fact, Teresa, I wanted to just take a minute. I think we provide probably more specialized services now than we did even when Brian and Joanne were here, just to try to maintain and meet the needs of our students, maintain, that hometown feel and get that special attention to students' needs. So,
And Rebecca, our social worker, has done home visits with them as well. If the student needs like a mental health something and they can't make it in, like they'll go to the student or family.
Just this week, I just want to share really quickly a situation. So just this week, because of our parent and family outreach, we had Suzanne Kirkham went and did a home visit on a family and found the parents his kids hadn't been to school for a couple of weeks. And she found the power shut off. The parents are in El Salvador. The 2 school-age kids are home by themselves, freezing, no food in the fridge. They really were in pretty dire circumstances. Our social worker actually took one of those students to the ER yesterday with a mental health emergency. But, our Suzanne got the LDS ward involved. The bishop is helping pay the power bill. We got some food from the school and, everybody kind of band together and we got the students outfitted with some food. Actually, we made a DCFS report and the students will be living with their older sister because the parents are out of the country. But I think it just goes to attest how awesome our team is. And I want you to know, Teresa, like, I'm glad you brought it up because I think it doesn't get highlighted enough, but we have a pretty cool group here and it's a very important part of our program here. And yeah, we are bigger student wise, but I feel like we're, there's always room for improvement, but there is, we do some pretty cool things here and it's a very important thing to our faculty and everybody here that we can meet those needs of our kids and not turn kids away, really, because at the end of the day, we don't want to turn kids away. We want to be able to help kids that need the help and not say, no, sorry, you got to stay at Mountain Crest or at Logan, which is why we've got huge numbers right now and 50 more kids on our wait list. We just can't help enough of them. So anyway, hopefully that kind of meets or answers some of your questions. I don't know if you had a concern, like a specific concern that maybe we didn't know about or.
No, I don't. You've covered it really well. Thank you. I appreciate it. It makes me want to cry.
I know, me too. I'm like, oh, anyway, these kids go through some really hard things. Anyway, I also included, or Alex included for us, some of the snapshots, some of the school climate surveys that we've done over the last handful of years. And I don't want to take a bunch of time going over that because there's actually quite a few pages of it, which is good. It's good data. But I think it just goes to show you like those needs from parents and students themselves say they're being met. So I think that speaks very loudly, and that's, you know, a reason why we do this kind of stuff is to get feedback and be able to fix what needs fixed and maintain our, you know, where we're at. So anyway, take a minute, look through those. Alex sent them out in the email. So.
And the only thing I think I'd add is we do a weekly, call it our student concern meeting.
Oh, yeah.
So we sit here, it's all administrators, counselors, social workers, student center coordinator, our parent outreach. Like we sit down, we each bring kids we're concerned about, and then we have kind of a round table where we're talking about them getting. So if like I don't have an information, but Jill did, or you know, Martha, the counselor, had some information, like we're able to kind of round table it, share the information we have, and come up with a game plan. We've always had this meeting in some form or another, but I think this year especially we've really like, brought that as like a corner piece, and it's been super good. Yeah, super good, beneficial for the
just
kids.
to make sure we're not letting anyone fall through
Yeah.
the cracks and kids' needs are being met. And yeah,
And
I
we're all on
love
the
that
same
you're
page.
doing that. And my experience with Mountain Crest was just the opposite. The kid didn't fit the mold, and so they needed him to go away. They needed her to go away. And I've just been so grateful for you at Fast Forward and the way it, not just my own student, but all of them. And I really appreciate that. I'm grateful that you take time and you've made those efforts, and the whole faculty and staff is involved in it. Thank you.
yeah, thank you. Thanks for bringing it up. And you know, my kids met the mold, they fit the mold at Mountain Crest, but they were so unflexible and like they weren't willing to work with them. And I mean, they are pretty close to straight A students, and they just, yeah, I mean, I had kind of a similar experience, and they didn't want anything out of the ordinary. It just was business as usual. And so we're like, there's, you know, other options out there. So anyway.
I just wanted to share, can you remember, it's been several years ago, his last name was Ward.
A student?
Yes,
Okay.
I think his mother taught seminary
Oh,
or something here, didn't she, at one time?
we're talking about,
Why can't I think it was name?
well, it's,
Like
we're
horrible
talking
names.
about the same young man. He's my daughter's brother-in-law.
Yeah. The warden,
Right, Carl
yeah.
and Kathy's.
Yeah.
son.
Well, he struggled and he came here and he just recently got his doctorate.
Oh, wow.
And he just recently got married and just, yeah, his wife got his doctorate too. And I can't remember what it is, but it's quite a specialized program. And I went, man, it just shows what happens with these kids that can't.
Yeah,
make
it's
it,
don't
you
fit
know,
the
make it-
mold.
Yeah, they don't. And yet, what's, I see them all the time that are just,
What a good success story.
yeah, I think I printed his diploma for him. He needed it for something, and
Mhm.
the mom was talking to Kelly in the front and just said, without this school, he wouldn't have ever gone
Yeah.
on to.
Well,
to
we
do
just
any of
had
that.
one of our teacher, Coley, her son was a graduate of
Oh, yeah.
Fast Forward, and he just finished his master's.
Yeah.
Anyway, pretty cool.
it is, save a lot of kids.
Yeah,
That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
Sure.
it's a necessity. I get a call from Larry 2 or 3 times a week. Needs not being met,
I
so.
know, he
Yeah.
talks to me all the time. I'll tell you, the best thing this school ever did was to hire you as a principal, you know,
Oh, thank you,
all sincerity. It's,
thank
they
you.
made the right move.
Those in favor?
I'm an alternative ed thinker for sure. Anyway.
No, this is great. Well, I'd like to say, well done Jill and Alex. This
Amen.
principal's report is wonderful. I'd like to compliment Teresa as well. Because I'm grateful to have a board member who is thoughtful enough to raise an issue or a concern and give us an opportunity to explore it a little bit more deeply.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
Don't ever be afraid to ask questions. Don't ever be afraid.
Because we were even talking and preparing this. We're like, wow, this is all stuff that we talk about every day here.
It's just stuff.
But when we bring it up, or we just it's
stuff
like
we do every day,
commonplace to
so you don't
us,
think
kind
about
of.
it.
Yeah, exactly. We do amazing things. So.
Wonderful.
Oh, what a meeting.
Well, I'd like to have every meeting like this.
Excellent.
So,
Thank you.
so the expectation is that our next meeting will be just like this. So.
No pressure.
Well, listen, that's why we ask the questions we do, because it keeps us all thinking about how to get better. And the comment that meant so much to me as I was interacting with the woman who was part of the accreditation team is the fact that from top to bottom, this school is intentional about what they do. We don't just leave things and allow things to happen. We're intentional, and we see something that needs to be done, and we figure out how to fix it if it needs fixing, how to celebrate it if it needs celebrating, and we're intentional, and that's wonderful. And it's every aspect of the school. So
yeah,
thank you very much.
It's a pleasure. We love these kids. We all love what we do. It's definitely a choice to be at this type of a school. And
Yeah.
very rewarding.
And
hard, but very rewarding.
And those of you who aren't here in person, if you haven't been here for a while, this is a cool place to be. This is fun. I mean, it's a great setting.
It's really what I can see.
I'm gonna show them the wall, Alex.
Yeah.
Together we do great.
It's a little reversed. Well, we got a nice setup. The camera's a little zoomed in, but it's a nice little conference room.
And that must be it's kind of a wide angle lens, but you're able to
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was trying to, it's working pretty good.
I'm impressed. Well, do we have anything else from any board member that you'd like to bring up? Because we have completed the agenda. If you don't have anything else, I'm of a mind to say, well done, way to go, and to declare the meeting closed.
Perfect.
All right.
Okay.